Well, welcome to another Player Watch Along. Today we welcome Dennis Breakwell, who came here in 1973 and has stayed here ever since, so he must like something about Taunton. Nice to see you here, Dennis.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
Always good to welcome you to the ground here and looking out over. Good view from up here, isn't it? From where we are?
Yeah. Oh, it's brilliant. I know what it's like up here because I've been hit over here a few times.
Yeah, we'll talk about one of those occasions a bit later on. Dan, I mean, how did you sort of start your cricketing career? You come from a cricketing family, don't you?
Yes, my father played in the Birmingham League. Played with players like George Headley, Ronnie Headley, Norman Gifford, those sort of players then. And obviously going around, I wanted to play cricket. I played with Staffordshire schoolboys and got spotted by Worcester, Warwickshire and Northampton. So I went for trials at all of them, but I went for a 3-month trial with Northampton and got to know everybody there, and then moved in with them. Well, I don't know what year it was, but I was 15.
So what's that, about 64?
Yeah, it could have been now. Yeah.
And they offered you a contract. And what was your first contract there? Can you remember?
Yeah, my first contract, I remember what I was earning. I was earning £7, 10 shillings a week. I was in digs with a lady and gentleman called Mr. and Mrs. Coe. I used to pay £3, 10 shillings, bed, breakfast, evening meal.
Yeah.
And washing.
Oh, not
£3,
bad,
10 shillings. And I had £4 to spend and I was rich.
You thought you were a rich man.
I did, yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, I mean, that's a long time ago. And then you played your first second team game. Who was that against? Can you remember?
No. I remember playing early on, played against Worcester side.
Yeah.
That had 2 people qualifying for them.
Right.
One was Basil D'Oliveira.
Right.
And the other one was... I had a brother, I can't remember who it was. It'll come to me now. Basil and Tom Graveney. Tom Graveney, both qualifying, had to play in the second team before they could play in the first team.
That's right, they did.
So that was one of the early games I played.
Another early one was against Somerset.
Somerset, yeah, that would have been... Where did we play that one?
64, that was... Well, that wasn't on the main... That wasn't at Northampton.
We might have been playing at Yeovil. No, Yeovil at Rushton Diamonds.
Somewhere like that.
Yes.
Yeah. But you had a pretty, how can I say, a baptism of fire because you played with some pretty big names in those days, didn't you, as a kid? To be playing alongside the people who you were playing with in the second level even.
Yeah, we were. We had, I suppose when I came into the side, you obviously had Colin Milburn, David Steele, your captain was Jim Watts. You had the best young cricketer I saw until I saw Beefy and Vib in Peter Willey. He was playing then. And then we had your overseas players, Mushtaq, Safraz, a fellow called Hilton Ackerman who we lost. That was the year of those players, and it was a special side to be in. Being very lucky to play with those people.
Northampton were a cracking side in those days too, weren't they?
Yeah, we were, yeah. We and yet we never won anything. When I played there, we were very, very lucky to play on the ground we played in because it was also a football ground as well.
Yeah.
So I remember I went to see George Best score 6 against Northampton Town.
You were there that day.
That night, yeah.
It's been replayed on Match of the Day umpteen times.
Yeah.
My goodness me, yeah. I mean, you would hardly know the football ground had been there now, would you?
No. Oh, no. No, but those were, excuse me, very special times, You learn the game more than we were in the second team dressing room.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed in the first team dressing room unless they were out fielding.
Okay.
As soon as they come in, you had to go out of the way and you had to earn your stripes, shall we say.
And what was life like as a youngster in those days? I mean, it's very different now, isn't it? I mean, how was it for you? How would you sort of say, how would you spend a day? I mean, you wouldn't be playing cricket all day, would you, I'm guessing?
Well, if we weren't playing in the second team, or we used to play for a team called Northampton Colts, if we weren't playing in those games, if there was matches on, we would have to be at the ground to bowl at the first team in the nets.
Right.
Or we would be score sometimes, or we would have to be there to watch. So I mean, if we weren't playing and there was games at home, we were there all the time.
And you made your first team debut 68, 69?
Yeah, made my first team debut in, I think it might have been 69 against, who was it against? Can't remember. But the first class match I played was against the universities.
Yes, it was.
Against the universities. I
Yeah.
mean, and I tell you, who was playing us there. Majid Jahenga Khan. I think he might have been playing then, but anyway.
He was a cracking player.
Oh, he was one of the best you ever seen. Yeah.
Just.
Yes, it was good. It was a lovely time to play the game, and I'm not saying it's not now, but it was different.
And you mentioned one of the players who obviously you rubbed shoulders with them was Ollie Milburn. I mean, he was something special, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, he was one of the 3 or 4 people that we would call 100 before lunch man.
Yeah.
And he was special, and the tragedy that happened was sad because we just started the John Player League and the Gillette Cup, and the Bensons was starting the next year, and he would have been an awesome force in those games. But he lost his eye in a car crash, so.
You were involved with that, weren't you?
I was sitting next to him, yeah. There was me, I was sitting next to him, and George Sharp was sitting behind us, the wicketkeeper. And we had this crash, and not making light of it, but he moaned because he pushboard and split his trousers. And I'm not trying to make light of the crash, but that was then. I remember they rushed Holly straight to hospital in a car, and I waited for the ambulance.
You had a successful career at Northhead, so didn't you? You
Yeah,
played a lot of games there, and you took a lot of wickets.
Yeah, I did all right. I think I was very lucky. My first captain was a fellow called Roger Prideaux. And a lot of times I'd be bowling in the first hour and a half, and to have people to throw that confidence onto you, it helped, and I started getting few wickets, and then one of the final years I got 70 odd wickets in the season, and I could get a few runs, and it was a very good time to play. You hadn't got all the real superstars coming at that time. Like when I moved to Somerset, all the big boys were here.
Yeah. You got your career best wicket haul, though, for Northampton. You get down against Kent?
Kent at Dover.
Yeah.
8 for 39. I remember well. Colin Cowdery got a pair.
Did he?
Yeah.
But both to you?
One was to me. Well, no, I think I did him for the pair. But it was great. I mean, he was a load of wicket bowler, and not trying to say that I was very, very good, but you had a fellow playing in the other side called Derek Underwood,
Indeed, yeah.
and he didn't get the wickets I got.
But in those days, cricket was taken around the grounds, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't play all your games in one place.
No. At Northants we played in a few other grounds around there, Rushton and Diamonds, and we played in a couple of others, but down here we played probably 6 games in 6 pitches.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
I remember playing at Torquay. That was and Closey got a mouthful of ball. Knocked all his teeth out.
Did he?
Went in and got 100 next day. Just throw that one in. He got 100 next day. He had all his teeth done. He went out and got 100.
That's Closey, though, isn't it? Let's go on and talk about Closey. You came here in '73. What was the reasoning behind that?
I suppose one of the main reasons is I got married young, and we had a married breakdown.
Yeah.
And I was still playing for Northampton. I was playing the first team, but Northampton signed a fellow called Bishan Singh Bedi.
Yeah.
Now, as nice a bowler as I thought I was, he was basically a better bowler than I was. And although I played in the first team, I didn't bowl as much as I'd like to. And we were playing at Wellingborough against Somerset, and I got a couple of wickets. And Closey said to me, "When you come and play for us?" So I approached the lads at Somerset, the lads at Northants. Ken Turner was the fellow, and he said, "Look, you'll have a contract here, but because of the reason that you not bowling as much is because we won't stand in your way." And that's the reason I came down here, which was good.
And what was it like coming here in '73 with Closey as captain and several other sort of senior pros, weren't there? But 1 or 2 youngsters starting to come.
It was lovely to come here and be able to play in the situation. I found that I became a Somerset person very quickly, and it was lovely. And then because you had somebody that you could look up to in Brian in whatever he did, in his way of life, apart from his gambling and drinking tea on the way to grounds. But yeah, you could look up to Closey. I mean, he's just a very special man.
Yeah, there's all sorts of tales about Closey and bits and pieces.
There is a few, yeah.
And I suspect some of them have been enlarged over the years.
Well, there is a couple where he slipped over. He wore trainers, and we were playing at Surrey, and I think they wanted 2 to win off the last ball or something, and the ball went to him, and he come in and slipped on his backside, and the ball went through his legs, and they won the game, which was, you didn't say too much to him about that, but I remember him getting hit on the head at short leg, and the ball bounced back to me, and I dropped it. Oh. He said, "Did you catch it, lad?" He said, blood coming out the side of it. "Did you catch it?" "No."
And obviously Alan Arthur was here when you were...
Yes, he was, Alan, yeah.
And he and Closey had sort of one or two...
They had a few ding-dongs, yeah, he did. Jonah was a very fine bowler. He was... he wasn't the greatest of fielders in the world, but he was a very fine bowler, and I don't think Closey took to his fielding very well. He dropped a few catches, which we all do, and it's not an issue. But he was a good bowler, I suppose Closey would have got the best out of him. We got the best out of most people, didn't he?
Absolutely, he did. And then 74, we had the arrival of 2 fairly important people at the ground, didn't we, at the club? I think Botham played a couple of one-day games at the end of 73. Yeah. But really, it was 74 that they came and started to make a name for themselves, Viv and Both, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. Oh, a special time. I remember it very well because me and Beefy lived in a house in Greenway Road. Yeah. Down there, and that was fun. And then a bit later on, we lived in another flat with Viv, so there was a 4 together. We became very close, and to have those. To be playing next to those people and with those people and with the other lads that we had that were fine cricketers, we also, it used to be able to raise your game a little bit,
Did you, even at that stage, know that they were going to be that sort of good of players? Was it possible to see it? Because they weren't very old, were they?
Oh, yeah, Vivian Richards, stood out. Miles and miles. You could see that the way it went. I likened Viv when he was batting. There was nobody in the bar, Yeah. And Beefy, when Beefy come in, Beefy was probably as good a cricketer as there's been, with what he could do with his all-round ability to catch, to bowl, and to bat. And he was a special man. And I think they were two very, very, very fine cricketers, but I still don't think we'd have won anything without Joel.
No.
That person come in and gives you that bump, and I liken it to just diverse a little bit. We go and play against Hampshire, and they open the batting with Richards and Greenidge, and we open the bowling with Garner and Botham. And if Joel had got any of them out, which he wanted to do quickly, you go, yeah, because I can come and have a bowl at somebody else.
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, that side that Closey drew together. I mean, you gradually became stronger and stronger and better, didn't you?
Yeah.
And it was at that period that really the one-day cricket started to take off down here, wasn't it?
Oh, it did. I think looking at the amount of cricket that the 3 big boys used to play, I think they were more into playing the one-day cricket and trying to win those games more than the longer form of the game. I mean, no way saying that they weren't trying in the longer form of the game, but that was, you could see that that was the game. That's what we were going to win if we would win anything. Then the way they were, those 3, and we had other lads there, didn't you? I mean, you had 2 of the best one-day openers in Rose and Denning. That's then your other lads as well. Oh, it's special.
You played in the game when Joel first arrived here, didn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, he went to Bath and beat the Aussies, which in its own way is a huge achievement. But Joel, what was it like? You hadn't seen him before. To actually be there on the park with him when he bowled his first balls. I mean, what did you think when you saw him?
Oh, it was just special. I mean, the memories I have of Joel bowling is basically when you're playing, you wanted to be there and watch him bowl, but you always thought he's going to knock somebody over. You always thought he's going to get somebody out. And I remember they played the game at, who did we play it? At Taunton, where we were at lunchtime we'd lost the game, and at tea time we'd won it. I think we were 60 for 6 at lunchtime. Got about 130, and they, and he just frightened them to death. You know, but you know, to have him in your side, you know, you won games. I mean, everybody would ask when you play, is Joel playing? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm guessing those 3 players, to have them in your side, would have lifted the other players' game. I mean,
you do, and people always ask me about. A lot of people ask me about this, and they do. They raise your game, and people would say to me, "But weren't you in all of them?" I said, "Not really, because they were our mates." Yeah. You know, we were all very, very friendly. It was a good team to be a part with those lads. Oh, it was hugely important. I mean, we had when Viv and Joel came and give us that bit of a bump, it helped everybody else, because you have your Rose and Denning opening the batting, which was very special, and you had Hallam,
absolutely,
coming in, Dredgy coming in, you know, and you think, well, it wasn't just those blokes, but they were special, were they?
Who was the sort of mastermind and driving force behind all of that? Who was the sort of man who put the thing together? I mean, I know Closey did, but were there other influences sort of?
I don't know whether Michael Hill had anything to do with anything like that, or the Len Creed at Bath might have had something to do with that in the West Indies with Viv. Yeah. But, you know, it was one of those things that really, I didn't mind who got them, where they come from, exactly, because they were there. And the thing is, they wanted to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they would play all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the chemistry, though, isn't it?
Viv and Joel, when they walked on the field, you know, the crowd would be up as well, wouldn't they? You know, you see. And, I mean, Viv had probably one of the best walks you'll ever see. And when he walked out to bat, you know, you could be standing miles away, you know what he was. And he just carried an aura with him, didn't he? Yeah. And yet, Joel, you know the best thing about Joel playing at Somerset? I never played against him in the nets. Do you want to know? Do you have a net, Joel? No, I don't have. Good.
So that was 77, Joel arriving. And then 78, Rosie took over the captaincy, didn't he? Now, I mean, that must have been sort of a bit different, but the makers of the team was there, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. I think, I mean, Rosie was a different captain to Closey, you know. Closey wasn't a great lover of one-day cricket. Not a great lover of one-day cricket. He wanted to be attacking all the time, Closey and that. And Rosie took it on. And Rosie come into I think Brian was a very fortunate man. I'm not saying he wasn't good. Very fortunate to take over that side with those 3 people in it.
Yeah.
And then the little bits around them 3 as well. That was, you know, those were your catalysts, those 3 people. And you, like I say, you had Rose and Denning. And one of the best players we had was Roebuck. You know, and he was scored magnificent runs against Sylvester Clarke. He did. Yeah, but anyway, but he was fine. We had a good side built around 3 people.
Yeah. First season though ended in disappointment, really, didn't it? Because we lost the C&G against Sussex.
Yeah.
And then we came back here and lost the next game, didn't we, on the Sunday?
Yeah, that was 78.
Yeah, 78.
I remember it well because I remember I remember Viv used to use the Stuart Surrey's bats.
Yeah.
After the game, he smashed it to pieces in the old change room. We had a great big plunge bath with concrete everywhere, and he smashed the bat to pieces. It's one of those things that if I could have thought back now, and you could have got those pieces of that bat and kept them.
Yeah.
You know, he's, but he just used to take us everywhere, hadn't he?
And then 79 started a bit controversially, didn't it? The game at Worcester. You were there.
I was. It was.
The Benson's game.
It was. We'd played. Did we play on the first? No, it rained the first day.
Right.
And there wasn't many people there. And we went back the second day, and we didn't think we were going to play. But we had got back in the hotel that evening, and this thing had been brought up that if we declare after such and such a time, well, it was 1-over, and they went in batted. With the way the other fixtures were, we couldn't have been knocked out of the competition.
Right. Yeah.
And that was it. And there was an agreement to do it, but there's one person said you can't do it. He said, I'll back you, but you can't do it. R.C. Kerslake.
Right.
He said, I'll back you, but you can't do it. Anyway, it happened, and next day we were front page news.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember coming when we declared, coming off the field, and all the reporters out of the thing coming over to the dressing room.
But, I mean, that was a special year, though, wasn't it? 79. I mean, you think about it. To have been part of it.
It was to be in the same situation as we were the year before was special, wasn't it? I mean, to get there, and you know, people. I think a lot of people thought we wouldn't. I remember when we won the Gillette.
Yeah.
Driving up to, I drove with Beefy to Trent Bridge to play.
My transit van.
No, we weren't in a van. We weren't in the van then. I think we were in his car.
Right.
I might have been driving it for him actually because I was travelling with him. And you know, we won that. We never had a drink.
Right.
After we'd won our first trophy, because we were going to play Nottingham at Trent Bridge, and that was a special day.
Ironic that it was against Northamptonshire we won the first trophy, wasn't it?
Yeah. What stands out to me in that game, I remember seeing Jim Watts, who got injured, on the balcony when they lost their 9th wicket, and he was injured and he was coming in next, and he didn't move. And you could see that he wasn't coming in. And I made a dash, and I got 3 stumps before anybody else had got him, because I could see he wasn't going to come in.
Yeah.
And that's that first victory. Brilliant.
But what was it like to be part of that, though, Dan? I mean, we obviously had huge followings there, didn't we, Somerset?
Yeah.
I mean, to be part of that winning team, that must stick with you.
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, like I say, the biggest part about it was the friendship in the team was huge, and we would go out together a lot of the times and be around each other a lot of the time. But I suppose really the biggest thing is having those 3. You know, that you knew something was going to happen somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, you've always felt that one of them's going to do it.
Yeah.
And then with the other backup that we had, Rose Denning, they always scored runs in one-day cricket, didn't they? And it was good. And had Jenks. It was special times, special people, and love them all to bits and still do.
Yeah, and that's great. And you drove up the motorway, and motorways were about in those days. Yes, they were.
We were, yeah.
But you went to Notts the next day and won again.
We won again. What stands out to me in that match, I was down on the boundary just below the box, and John Arlott was commentating on the game.
Yeah.
And he said, "You've won." He knew before the other game had gone, so he said,
Brilliant.
that was brilliant. Yeah.
And I'm guessing you had some celebrations that night.
Yes, but on saying that, we travelled down and travelling down the motorway and seeing all the cars with Somerset flags hanging out of the windows, because we used to take people everywhere with us, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
They would go and watch everywhere, and that was special.
And they still do.
They do,
that
yeah.
was the start of the one-day passion that people down here have for their cricket. There's no doubt about that. I mean, and that must help you guys when you're out there in the middle and you've got such a big crowd following you.
Huge. huge. And I think, what I like about it, we got to know them.
Yeah.
Lots of the people that went regularly, you got to know the supporters.
Yeah.
Which was brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. We've talked a lot about one-day cricket, but you played a lot of championship cricket.
Yeah.
A lot of first-class cricket.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about one or two of the games that stick in your mind from that time.
Earlier, I suppose really I would have to talk about playing against Kent at Dover. We won the toss, I think, and batted, and Hilton Ackerman got 100.
Right.
And then we bowled them out. I think I got 4 wickets in the first innings. We bowled them out in the first innings, and then we had a few more. And then the second game, because the weather was, the second day, the weather was brilliant. And it just happened to grip in the wicket a lot.
Yeah.
The ball gripped a lot, and they didn't. I don't think they played me very well, but I bowled very well, and got people caught around the bat. And then remember the last one I think was caught at mid-on.
Right.
But it was great times. Oh, that I remember because we travelled by coach then.
Yeah.
And that was special.
But in those days, I mean, with the Sunday League coming in, you probably have 2 3-day games, and the Sunday League came.
Yeah, you often played a month without a day off. Generally, the only times you had days off is when you did a Gillette Cup match.
Right.
Because the Gillette Cup match would either be on the Wednesday or the Saturday, and then you'd have the Monday and Tuesday off, or the Thursday and Friday off. And it was. Was it difficult? No, because you're only out there for half the time anyway, aren't you? When you're batting and bowling, unless you're a top-class all-rounder and you're batting all day and bowling all day. But when you're batting down the order like I was a lot, you bowl and then you go and sit down in the dressing room and Viv go and get 100.
But in one game, that Viv didn't get 100, you hit the winning runs up at Western, wasn't it?
Yes. Game that was, we were playing, I remember we were playing Sussex.
Sussex, wasn't it?
Sussex, that was interesting. We wanted 69, I think, to win off 7-8 overs, and the opening partnership was, I think it was Beefy and Viv. I went in number 4, I know, and we wanted. I 2 falls and a 6. And I remember we needed, Joel came into bat, and we needed 4 to win, and Imran came into bowl towards the end, and he bowled it down the leg side, and Oblong, I think, was keeping wicket, and he just left it.
Yeah.
He just left the ball. He said, I'm not going after that, let it fall, and we've come off. Brilliant. John Cleese was there.
Was he?
Mm.
Yeah, John Cleese from Western Superman.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good game. Oh, it's lovely. Lovely.
When you started, I mean, did you get kit supplied, or did you have to supply your own kit, or where did you? I mean, how was it? Because these days, obviously, most of the stuff is supplied for young players, isn't it?
I remember when I was at Northamptonshire, I used to get £20 kit allowance. I'd get 2 bats for £7, and all the trousers, because you didn't have. You got your jumpers given to you by the club, but you had to buy your own trousers and your own socks and your own shoes.
Right.
And we used to get our shoes made by a fella there who made shoes in Northampton. He made shoes for everybody all over the country, and he used to get our shoes made there. But it was. Did I ever get any money for it? No, but we got all we had a kit allowance every year.
And you when you packed up playing here, you were lucky enough to be offered some work, schools coaching, weren't you?
Yes. Yeah, that would have been. Where would that have been?
Was it in the early 80s?
Yeah. It would have been. I started and did it for about 5 or 6 years. All through the year, I would go and do an hour session. I would probably try and do 3 schools a day.
Yeah. And
I'd travel all over the place. And then I got to know so many people, and I'd just make one phone call. And the junior schools were very flexible.
Yeah.
Senior schools weren't so flexible with their time and that. Yeah. And most of my little sports halls. I mean, it was a learning curve, and it was a lot of fun. And it it did me so much good, because from there I picked up the job at King's College.
Yeah. Before we go on to King's College, I can remember you used to turn up in a variety of cars.
Yes.
Sometimes it would be that old Fiat car that you drove.
Yeah.
And another time you drove over an MGB.
MGB
A green
GT.
one.
That was R.C. Kerslake's
Was
car. He let me use that for a year. Roy Kerslake's car, yeah. MGB GT with a little hob on the
And I thought,
little
and it
bump.
just made it big time now.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
But yeah, let's move on to Kings now, because that has been another chapter in your life, hasn't it, really? Within 91 you went there first?
Yeah.
How did
Kings.
that come about?
Well, I was skills coaching, and Kings lost Roy Marshall.
Yeah.
They lost Roy Marshall, and they wanted a coach, and they asked me if I would go and coach there. And I went and did the coaching through the summer, and we were playing the MCC on this Saturday, and they hadn't done a very good wicket. And at that time I was preparing the wickets for Taunton Creek clubs they played. And Ray Codd, who was the master in charge of sport there, said, "Could you do another one?" So I went up there, and they got the stuff out, and I prepared a wicket for him on the Saturday. And it was the best one they played one. And weeks later, I was offered the job as head groundsman and cricket professional at King's College. And it's the best thing I ever did. As much as I was coaching at Somerset and enjoying my coaching, I was never going anywhere. I didn't have the profile to get, a top job. My cricketing profile was not. And what I did I like to think I did at King's is what they've got now. They will look at the success they have now.
Absolutely, you sowed the seeds for that.
Yeah.
And then, you produced a whole raft of players who've gone on and played first-class cricket.
Yeah.
One J.C. Butler, he was protege of yours, wasn't he?
He was, and a lot of people asked me about that, and I said, well, I wherever he'd have gone, he would have been a top-class cricketer, top-class sportsman, but he chose to come to my school, which to me is brilliant, because, did I coach him a lot? No, I talked to him a lot. About batting, because you knew he was always going to be special.
Yeah.
And basically it's all history, and he still is special.
Indeed.
I don't think many people have had a better life than I've had. When you think that even now, because I'm still involved with cricket at the Wyvern Club and looking after Greasewood, every morning I get up, it's a Saturday to me, because I'm playing cricket, sort of thing.
Yes, indeed.
And it's always to do with that. And I go out and prepare a cricket wicket, then go and put it to sleep, and then go and watch them play on it, and then go and do another one, and being very lucky to enjoy it.
And still enjoying it.
Yeah, I do, very much so.
Yeah. Still enjoy coming here. This is a special place, isn't it?
Oh, it was. I remember you used to walk in and get splinters in your feet in the old pavilion. Yeah, the old pavilion was here. Yeah, oh yeah. Oh, how can you come? Having a life like I've had, and the people I've played with and against. You couldn't write it, could you?
No. How would you like to be playing now?
Oh, I'd love to be playing. Honestly, I think the way I played the game, I'd have been worth fortune now, playing T20 and playing all over the world. You think, crikey, I could have, because I used to go and give it a slap, and they can bowl a few darts. It'd been lovely. It would have been, but on saying that, would I have had a better time now than I had then?
Probably not.
I don't know. And you would say, look at the players I played with and against.
Exactly.
All the best players in the world played in county cricket, didn't they? And every county had them.
Two things we haven't talked about then, which we must come back to. I don't know what order you want to take them in. Let's talk about your 100 first, shall we?
Yeah.
Because we haven't talked about your 100. Talk me through your 100.
We're playing against. I always like to like this, playing against New Zealand here, and Hadley was playing. And I always go about this because it wasn't Richard, it was Dale. But I don't tell people that. No. And he was bowling. And I came into bat under not a lot of pressure. Roebuck was in there, and we started to get a few. I nicked one past second sliff, I think, for 4. And then they had a fellow called Brendan Bracewell was bowling for them. And I got into a situation where I was trying to hit it, and I hit this ball against the river stand, the roof of the river stand, and it knocked one of the hoardings off.
Right.
Yeah, it was 6 for that.
Yeah.
And we just kept playing that way, and it was a special time, you know, because once I got 20 or 30, I wasn't worried I got runs. Yes. So you just keep playing and playing, and I'm glad I went on and got 100, and it was lovely. And I always tell people it was against New Zealand and Hadley. Well, I don't tell them it was Dale.
No, absolutely. Now, on the other side of the coin, something which has come up very much recently with the death of Mike Proctor, the great Mike Proctor, South African all-rounder. He hit 6 sixes, didn't he?
He did. He hit me for, I think it was 4 sixes at the end of one over and 2 beginning of the next, consecutively. But I look at that. My figures on that day were 5.4 overs, 2 for 56. And Alistair Hignall, the rugby player, was one of my victims. But I also look at that thing and I think afterwards, you know, if I'd have been bowling to somebody that didn't hit the ball like Procky, that would have been 6 dot balls, because I bowled 6 length balls and he just came, put his foot down the wicket and hit him all straight back over this side, because there was a dog track there.
Yes, there was. Yeah.
And it was in 10 yards, the boundary there. Yeah. And he just hit me for 6 sixes, bump, bump, bump. And, you know, I mean, people say, oh, bloody hell, if I did. I says, yeah. How many times has Mike Proctor hit you for 6?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, so
you're 100, and you're 6 sixes.
Yeah.
There
Brilliant.
are things that certainly people know about you, Dennis.
Yeah, I did it. Oh, what a time, you know. Can't odds it, can you? Oh.
And still loving it.
Oh, I love it. All to bits.
Yeah. And I'm guessing, as a 15-year-old kid, you'd just settle for your life, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, still. I mean, I struggle to think that anybody has a better working life than I have, as in I've enjoyed everything I've done. Yeah. You know.
You've been paid for doing something you love.
Yeah, perfect.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant, Dennis. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and thanks for your time.
Pleasure. Thank you, Richard.